Hello, welcome back. Another episode of SWAT Season 6 Episode 16 Recap, Blowback. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Michelle's due date was getting closer by the second. She felt compelled to construct a nest. She and Hondo had done some deep cleaning in addition to making sure everything was in working order. The whole contents of the attic were removed. They donated to charities what they didn't utilize themselves. It was unexpected, given that some of it truly belonged to Hondo's father. He rushed off when they tried to ask him why he was so unhappy. Hondo was soon asked to report to the office, and he completely lost track of it. When there was a shootout, SWAT was called to the area. Due to a disagreement about money, two men started firing at each other. One of the men performed some sort of act for the other. He handed a file to me, while the other party was preparing to back out of the agreement after being threatened with not being paid for work accomplished. The individual demanding payment showed a weapon. He insisted on receiving payment. While his teammates started firing, the man carrying the baggage began hurling it towards the other man. There was almost immediately a shooting. Both of the shooters were killed. When the enforcement showed up, one of them decided to kidnap a hostage. Before SWAT could get involved, the hostage taker and the other shooter were both murdered. But some folks were caught up in this mayhem. The third man was able to escape paying for the folder he had stolen. An Indian national who was wanted by Interpol was this man's friend. He met with Mason Crowley, who had contacts in the military, along with his companion. He worked as a naval intelligence officer when he wasn't writing. Crowley handed the supervisor a folder with a list of names. The initial folder was still open, yes. SWAT discovered after their investigation that the assassins were out and about. Crowley helped them kill this individual for a fee once they made the decision to pay someone to do it. Crowley was obligated to pay a sizable sum of money. He was able to find employment with independent contractors after being released from the Navy. The company he worked for was called S.W.A.T. It was a PMC that had good standing. The press has just lately been kept out of the Ukraine conflict. The men who entered when the U.S. military decided it was too risky to send in their own forces felt the effects of Crowley's betrayal the most. Or, to put it another way, there wasn't just one assassin still at large. Now that he has gathered a group, there are only 4 assassins left standing. Regrettably, SWAT was unable to save one of the named people. Cosmatius was the name of the person. He left the army 5 years ago at the advice of his wife. He didn't inform her that he soon joined S.W.A.T, though. He couldn't take a total break from life. He kept taking part in operations that put burdens on his shoulders to appease his inner hero. Kos was subjected to cruel torture before being slain. They were unable to get the answers they needed from Kos. Instead of taking a chance on hurting the genuine target, he was willing to sacrifice himself. It was now appropriate for Commander Hicks to warn S.W.A.T. Another thing he was interested in was people's names. He alerted the company that a bounty had been placed on the heads of several of their employees by getting in touch with them through the son of a common acquaintance. He asked Kos what his assignment was and was told that it was top secret. S.W.A.T persisted in disputing the dangers of immediacy. Nobody had also told Kos's friends or teammates. There is a target among those names. The assassin's next target was Kevin Grayson. Just Kevin, as far as we know, had witnessed their arrival. He called 911 when he needed assistance. He armed himself in reaction. Before SWAT came, his injuries grew worse, but they were still able to dispatch 2 of the hitmen. Each also received a duplicate of their individual listings. All the men on the list had some form of relation to S.W.A.T. The names, all but one, were clearly readable. The absence of this person's last name was, it seemed, for a good cause. S.W.A.T was questioned by SWAT, which was able to gather information. Aaron Skinner had to quit classifying everything as secret, in other words. He had to open secure papers. He then admitted to Hicks that he and Kos had been on a clandestine operation to kill a terrorist close to the Pakistani-Indian border. The terrorist was put to death. His children were murdered by the enemies of their own father. They failed to assassinate their husband. The fact that they took a woman who had been a maid there and her sick daughter with them when they departed was also kept a secret. The mother and child were targets for the assassin. S.W.A.T had simply omitted her name from the list of attendees on that particular day. The only one who knew where the two were was Kos. He was imprisoned for this reason, tortured, and then killed. With Kos, it's impossible to have a conversation. The assassins had to take a longer path as a result of this. Arjun Reddy's hired assassins because she was married to a terrorist. The Americans killed her sons. Once they discovered that she had survived the raid, it was simple to demonstrate that she had entered the country illegitimately by using a forged passport. She was in charge of planning the hunt for Tamia and her daughter's murderer. As a result, Arjun decided to exact revenge. She said that Tamia was responsible for her entire family's passing since she had deceived them. Even Kos' phone, which Arjun had grabbed, was gone. There were pictures of Tamia and her daughter. The 2 individuals in the photos were located by her. They had visited the medical center. Arjun and the assassins both went there. Thank you for watching.